The sky hung heavy with gray clouds, its silence rumbling before the downpour began. The streets of Lahore glistened with the first drops of rain, tiny pearls falling onto the pavements, creating ripples in puddles that mirrored the restless sky. The scent of wet dust filled the air, that earthy perfume that always seems to awaken something. Deep inside a person, nostalgia longing. Maybe both. Ion pushed open the glass door of Café Noir, his favorite hideaway since college. The bell above the door chimed softly. Announcing his exit, he tightened his denim jacket around him and glanced at the sky. Not again, he murmured. He'd left his umbrella at home. Like always, typical Ion, careless about everything except his thoughts. He pulled the jacket over his head and stepped into the rain. Water dripped from the awnings, splashed off passing cars and soaked his sneakers. As he hurried down the narrow street, he could already imagine the teasing from his friends if they saw him. Ion, the man who always claimed to love rain, now running from it. And then he saw her across the road. Beneath a single black umbrella stood Hanaya. For a second, he thought his eyes were playing tricks. Maybe it was someone who only looked like her, someone with the same brown eyes, the same delicate way of holding the umbrella, the same habit of tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear. But the longer he stared, the clearer it became it was her. His breath caught in his chest. The rain blurred the world around him, but she remained sharp, real, radiant. She was wearing a cream-colored dress, with a pale blue scarf draped loosely around her shoulders. And though years had passed since he last saw her, she still carried that quiet grace that once made every head turn. The sound of honking cars snapped him out of the trance. Without thinking, he crossed the road. Ignoring the splashes from the speeding rickshaws, his heart raced faster than it had in years. Each step felt heavier, as if he were walking through all the moments they had missed. The birthdays, the promises, the silences. When he finally reached her, the world seemed to slow. The rain softened Hanaya. His voice was quiet. Trembling just slightly, she looked up. Her lips parted in surprise, her eyes widening as they met his. For a brief heartbeat, neither spoke. Then she smiled, that same soft, lopsided smile that used to melt him completely. Ion, she whispered, her voice as gentle as the rain. I didn't think you'd recognize me. How could I forget? He said, and the sincerity in his tone made her look away, as if afraid his eyes could still read her soul. They stood there awkwardly for a moment, surrounded by rain and the blur of passing people. The umbrella above them became a tiny world of its own, shielding them from everything. The storm, the noise, even the years. Ion chuckled nervously, still carrying an umbrella wherever you go, huh? You used to make fun of me for never having one. Hania laughed softly. And you still don't. Some things never change. Her laughter felt like a song he hadn't heard in years. Do you want to walk a bit? He asked hesitantly. She nodded, sure. They started walking down the same lane they once roamed. As students, water splashed around their shoes, and their reflections wavered in every puddle. They shared the umbrella, their shoulders brushing slightly. It was strange how something as simple as walking together could feel both so natural and so impossible. Where have you been all these years? Ion asked after a while. Everywhere and nowhere. She replied with a sad smile. After graduation, my father got transferred to Dubai. I went with him then. Life just kept moving. Without me, he said quietly. Not accusingly, just factually. She didn't respond right away. I wanted to call Ion. I really did, but numbers changed. People moved on. I thought maybe you had to. He looked at her, the rain light shimmering in his eyes. Move on. You think that's easy when every song, every street corner, every monsoon reminds me of you. She bit her lip, struggling to hold back tears. The rain hid them well. They stopped outside Imran's bookstore, the old dusty shop where they first met 8 years ago. The sign was faded now, but the smell of paper and ink still lingered in the air. Ion smiled faintly. You know, I used to come here every evening after you left, sat by that same window and read the same book. The Alchemist. I don't even like it that much. I just kept reading it because you once said it was your favorite. Her eyes softened. You remembered that? I remembered everything. The sound of thunder rolled above them. For a long moment, neither spoke. The rain poured harder, their clothes dampening despite the umbrella. But neither cared. They stood face to face. Two people suspended between past and present, between what they were and what they could have been. Finally, Hania whispered, Do you ever think about us? Every day, he said simply, sometimes in my dreams, sometimes in the middle of traffic, sometimes when it rains like this. You just appear. She laughed quietly, her voice trembling. I used to think that was just me. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was full of everything. They never said everything they once wanted to. The rain eased to a drizzle. Ion looked at her, taking in the sight. The raindrops on her lashes, the calm in her expression, the bittersweet peace in her eyes. Maybe he said softly, "The universe wanted us to meet again today." Or maybe she replied, smiling, "It just wanted to see if we'd still fit." Under the same umbrella, he laughed. She joined in. The moment was brief, but it felt infinite. When they finally parted ways at the corner, Ion stood watching her walk away, her umbrella bobbing gently with each step. He didn't call her back. He didn't need to. For the first time in years, he felt something return, a quiet certainty that some stories never really end. They just pause, waiting for the rain to bring them back together. As she disappeared around the corner, he whispered under his breath, almost smiling through the ache. Maybe love doesn't need forever. Maybe it just needs one more rainy day. The last drops of rain fell onto the street, and somewhere far beyond the noise of the city, the sky finally cleared.